सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। We finished studying the Mahavakyas. The Mahavakya alone has the capacity to take a person from Dvaitam to Advaitam, while all other practices happens in the medium of duality only. Only Mahavakya has the uniqueness to take a person from Dvaitam to Advaitam, from duality to non-dual. And the very fact that it is the only method that can take us from Dvaitam to Advaitam, it becomes that much difficult to understand what they are saying. It is difficult because any discussion that happens in the medium of duality, intellect can comprehend. Even, okay, if we see the entire process of Vedantic study from the beginning till the Mahavakya, what did we do? First, we studied the world. We studied what is the individual, what is the world, and what is the interaction between the world and the individual. And then in the individual is made up of spirit and matter, and then segregating the individual into Atma, Anatma, segregating the individual between matter and the spirit, and then shifting the identification from Anatma to Atma, meaning from the non-self to the self. And how do you shift the attention from the non-self to the self? By practicing Sakshi Bhava. All this is comprehensible, understandable, looks meaningful to the intellect. Right up to Sakshi Bhava, it is very meaningful to the intellect. Where the jump happens all of a sudden is when the very duality to the Aikyam, from the non-two, from the two should become non-two. We will not say the two is becoming one. We say the two is making an attempt to become non-two. That is beyond the comprehension of the intellect, and that is why it becomes that much difficult. Even Sakshi Bhava may be difficult to practice, but it is comprehensible. Sakshi Bhava, the attitude of witnessing, detachment, etc., may be difficult to practice, but comprehensible by the intellect as doable. Some methodology, some technique, something is known. In Sakshi Bhava, we will say, Aham Satyam Jagat Mithya. The I is the truth. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya is what you will say in Sakshi Bhava. It's a practice which has got nothing to do with Aikyam. You are still intellectually segregating the two. There is no Aikyam even there. In Mahavakya, what do you do? It is not Sakshi Bhava, it is Brahma Bhava. That Brahma Bhava is saying Aham Brahmasmi. Therefore, the very effect of Mahavakya study, or the very purpose of All Vedantic study, right up to Sakshi Bhava, is a preparation to come to this. Even though in all other contexts we talk about Sakshi Bhava, detachment itself as a very high, spiritual discipline, etc. In the context of Mahavakya and all that, we speak a totally different language. What is that? It is Mahavakya alone that can take you from Dvaitam to Advaitam, while all other practices keeps you in Dvaitam, including Sakshi. Because you are practicing something there, no? Even in Sakshi, there is a practitioner and he is trying to practice detached. So even in Sakshi Bhava, the duality is still there. And for the intellect, duality is very comprehensible. One. Second difficulty in Mahavakya. The second difficulty when it comes to Mahavakya is the very Mahavakya talks about Mithya. In Sakshi Bhava, you don't talk about it as Mithya. In Sakshi Bhava, it is there, but you are practicing a detachment. Sakshi Bhava also doesn't take you to Mithya. So it is the Mahavakya, unless you bring in Mahavakya, Mithya will have no relevance in the discussion at all. You follow what I'm saying? Therefore, it is very, very important in terms of moving from Advaitam to Advaitam. Second is the very understanding of Mithya comes into play only in relationship to the Mahavakya. Because only the Mahavakya angle you can call the world as Mithya. That is why other systems of philosophy, even though they also study Vedas, they also take Upanishad study, Bhagavad Gita study and all that. Mahavakya study they will not do, Mithya study they will not do. Like Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, the Dvaitam, Sishta Advaitam and all will never talk about Mithya and they will never talk about Mahavakya. Why? Because the duality remains with them. All practices continues in duality for them. So the ultimate duality will never, at the ultimate level, duality will never go. But then there will be grades of duality, that's all. But duality as such will not go. Mahavakya breaks this barrier. And unless the other side of Mahavakya is Mithya. On the one side you want to see it, you can see it as Mahavakya. The other side of Mahavakya is Mithya. That's why no other philosophical schools will talk about Mithya and Mahavakya. Because both are two sides to the coin. They will never talk about either Mithya nor Mahavakya. Now, what is Mithya? We have seen that. Mithya means that which is available for experience and not real. What is Mithya? What is Mithya? Mithya means that which is available for you to experience. It is available for you to experience, but the fact that you are experiencing it doesn't make it real. This is called Mithya. And anything that is experiencing need not necessarily be real. Mithya starts from here. Anything that you are experiencing need not necessarily be real. A reflection in the mirror has a utility, but reflection is not real. You stand in front of the mirror, you see a reflection. That reflection has a utility, but it's not real. The mirage has a utility, but it is not. You cannot call it as real. Dvaitam says, remember this. Dvaitam says you are experiencing it, it is real. Mithya comes and says, just because you are experiencing it, you cannot call it as real. Because Dvaitam means two realities. Dvaitam means two realities. Advaitam means only one reality. அவ்வளவுதான் வித்தியாசம். துவைத்தம்னா ரெண்டு ரியாலிட்டி இருக்குதுன்னு சொன்னா அது துவைத்தம். ஒரே ரியாலிட்டி தான்னா that is Advaitam. Other school says, why can't there be many realities? What is your problem? There are, because you are experiencing it. No. Since you are experiencing it, it is real. The classic Vedanta, from the Mahavakya angle of Vedanta, they come and say, just because you are experiencing it, you cannot call it as real. It may have a utility, it may have a purpose, you may actually experience it, but it doesn't make it real. So, Mahavakya and Mithya combination is what you should always try to understand. When you are doing your manana reflection to understand what these Mahavakyas are saying, it has to be connected with Mithya all the time. Because if you remove Mithya, Mahavakya will make no meaning at all. Since other systems don't accept Mithya, they don't do Mahavakya Vichara itself. Like Dvaita school of philosophy will not do Mahavakya Vichara. Visishtadvaita will not do Mahavakya Vichara because according to them, there is no, according to them, Mahavakyas doesn't exist. They are wrong. They are wrong. Why? Because there are two realities. Mahavakya comes and says, Mahavakya says there is only one reality. Yeah, whether it is one reality or many realities, what difference does it make to our life? We are having our own worries and anxieties and stress and strain, etc. Whether it is one reality or many realities, what difference does it make to us is what a layperson's take on all these things. For spiritual transformation to happen, at least there has to be a theoretical clarity on Mahavakya, and Mithya is very important. Because it is this theoretical clarity on Mahavakya and Mithya that will help you to even develop mokshatva, liberation. Otherwise, you will continue to remain in Dvaitam. At the most, what you will be practicing in duality? Sakshi. The highest possible practice in duality is Sakshi Bhava. And that itself the person will feel. That itself a person can feel very happy, very contented, very elated, etc. Abba, Sakshi, sir. Shankaracharya will say, that's kindergarten stuff. Elementary stuff, we'll worry about the Sakshi and all. Here we are talking about something at a detachment and all is elementary stuff. And don't get excited at the elementary level itself. Abdina, what is Mithya? Mithya means it has a utility. You will experience it, but it is not real. A seeming existence is enough for utility. You don't need the reality for that. A seemingly existent thing is enough for utility. That is why a seemingly existing world is enough. You don't need a real world at all. How can a seemingly existing world itself is enough for utility? Reflection in the mirror. The reflection in the mirror is enough for you. You don't need to have a real reflection. A seeming reflection itself is more than enough. How do you understand this? We have seen this any number of times. Take the same classic example of clay and pot. Take the same classic example of clay and pot. In any experience, the easiness of the experience is real. The existence part of it is real. What you are experiencing doesn't exist. Again, I repeat. In all experiences, the existence part of it is real. What you are experiencing is seemingly unreal. Idallam therinja, you will understand what is your original being. Because currently we are going to study the topic original being. Yeah. Original being padikkanum idallam puriyum. If you understand this, we'll understand what is your original being is, what is your true nature is. So take the simple example, pot and the clay and the pot. Here is a pot made of clay. Is pot existent or non-existent? You cannot deny the existence of the pot. Why? Because it is physically in front of you. When it is physically in front of you, how can you deny it? So pot is existing, correct. Where is the clay? Clay is also existing. So it means clay is also existing. The pot is also existing. So in the pot, there are two things that is now. In the pot, there are two things. What are the two things? There is the clay and then there is a pot. Okay. Now that you have accepted there are these two, clay and pot and having accepted this, ask that person the question. This is how you should do manana, and more you do it, it becomes nididhyasana. What is the weight of the clay and what is the weight of the pot? There are two things now. There are two things. We have accepted there are two things. There is a clay and then there is a pot, and the pot is made of clay. So two existent factors are there. Since you accepted both as existence, tell me what is weight of the clay and what is the weight of the pot? Same weight. One kg of clay and 1 kg of pot will not become 2 kgs. It means the original is there, something is superimposed, and that superimposition doesn't have any independence of its own. If it has an independence of its own, when the pot comes, the weight of the clay must be 1 kg plus something, isn't it? Then only the second has come. But if it is the same, it means what? Nama Rupa. There is no increase in weight after production of pot. It means what? Pot is not a substantial entity. Pot is not a substance like clay. Clay is Brahman, pot is world. Brahman. Yeah, it is. Yeah, we don't say. But then in this example, are you able to follow the analysis? This is how the Mithya part gets. That's how the Mithya part is rationally convincing first. Forget about understanding and all later. But there has to be a rational backing to understand the Mithya. Once there is a rational backing to understand the Mithya, Mahavakya starts becoming very meaningful after that. That is the topic, your original being. That is the topic. To study the topic, your original being. There is no real object called pot, even though we see a pot. Then what is the pot called? Nama, the Nama Rupa. Adding a name and form doesn't add anything to the original. By removing the name and form, nothing gets deducted from the original. If it is an independent reality, there has to be an addition or subtraction. Logically speaking, if there are two realities, there has to be an addition or some reduction in weight has to be there, no? Isn't it? When we make ornaments, gold, we have something called a law. The original remains exactly the same. Now, in all these, what is Mithya? Pot is a very mysterious entity. Clay is not a mysterious entity at all. Clay is not a mysterious entity at all. What is the mysterious entity in the clay and pot? Pot da. Brahman and world, what is mysterious? World is mysterious, not Brahman. In the clay and pot, what is mysterious? The pot is mysterious. Why? Because it's neither different from clay nor identical with clay. That's Mithya. You will follow. Again, I repeat. The pot is so unique an entity, so mysterious an entity. Why? Because it's neither different from clay, nor it is part of the clay. Why? Because a pot, Namarupa, comes in with a distinct function which the clay doesn't have. The pot, the Namarupa, the pot comes in with a very distinct function which the clay doesn't have. When you look at it from the distinct function, it is not identical with clay. From the distinct function angle, if you look at the pot is not identical with clay. It has its own separate existence. From another angle, pot is not separate from clay. What would you call that pot as? Mithya, Maya, Mithya, Anitya. Any word, Mithya, Anitya. A mysterious entity which is available for experience and has a separate function. The world has an existence. A world has an appearance. Not only it has an appearance, it has a function which the original doesn't have. Just as the pot has a function which the clay doesn't have. What is the function? The pot can hold water, clay cannot hold water. You cannot use clay and carry water from place to place, but you can use pot and carry water from place. It means there is a distinct function which is unconnected to the original. This is where material for thinking. Sakshi Bhava, it is very easy. Up to Sakshi Bhava, Vedanta is very easy. Because it's a direct practice, direct effect, direct result. But only Vedanta becomes very challenging, or actual Vedanta starts only at this point. The point of it has a utility. The world is available for experience. you can transact with it as though it has an independent existence of its own. But you cannot call it as Sat, as an absolute existence. Absolute existence means that which can exist without Nama Rupa, without an instrument to know it. Again, I repeat, on what basis do we define Sat? It has to be independent without any Nama Rupa. Second, it should not be in need of an instrument to reveal it. World needs an instrument to reveal it. Color and form, the eyes must be there to reveal color and form. The eye as an instrument is needed to understand color and form. The ear as an instrument is needed to hear sound. It means mind as an instrument is needed for emotions. Buddhi as an instrument is needed for thoughts and ideas. So it means Mithya means you can transact with it. It is available for experience. You can transact with it through an instrument. Through an instrument. Because of you getting the knowledge of the world through the instrument, it is conditioned by the instrument. Because of all the knowledge that you get from the world is only possible through an instrument. That is why we say all worldly knowledges are conditioned knowledges. Conditioned by what? Conditioned by the instrument. Mahavakya comes and says, reality is that which is not dependent on, it is not dependent on an instrument. Then what is it? The existence part of anything doesn't belong to the Nama Rupa. The existence part of anything doesn't belong to Nama Rupa. That is why it is Satyam Brahman. Under certain peculiar conditions, which is beyond the cognition of the human being, Nama Rupa comes into play, and when Nama Rupa comes into play, it looks like it has its own independent existence. Just as we say pot has an independent existence because pot has a function which is different from the clay. So pot is you cannot say pot is different from clay, not identical. Identical na pot engra pere varadu. Correct? If it is identical, only clay. There is no necessity for the name pot itself. Then the very word pot has no meaning. It means the very Nama Rupa is an indication that it is not identical. The question is, then what would you call that entity? The pot, which is not different from clay, but not identical with clay. Nama Rupa solli, Mithyan sollitu, what they will do? This is how the Mithya part of it is elaborated. The moment the Mithya part of it is elaborated and there is a conviction on the Mithya part, then the question is, what is the original being of the clay? Sorry, what is the original being of the pot? Clay. Adam. நாமரூபெல்லாம் பேசியாச்சு, pot எல்லாம் remove பண்ணியாச்சு. Then the question is, what is the original being of the pot? The original being of the pot is a clay. What is the original part of the world? Brahman. And that Brahman, you cannot claim Brahman as though it is a entity separate from you, because that Brahman is you. That's how we connect. Aham Brahmasmi, and we come to your original being. Everybody follow? So first we say it is there. First we say world is there. Having accepted the world is there, we say, upon deeper investigation about the world is a mysterious entity. Adu irukudha illana theliva? Maya Mithya means you cannot really say whether it is there or not. It is there, but it's not there either. Then we go into the material component of it. For the material component of it, we take the example of pot, the clay and pot, gold and ornaments. When the Nama Rupa of the ornament goes, gold doesn't disappear. You follow? When the Nama Rupa of the ornament goes, what happens to the gold? Gold stays. The arrival of the ornament doesn't make any difference to the gold. The departure of the ornament doesn't make any difference to the gold. One. Second, the value of the ornament is only because it has come out of gold. The value of the ornament is only because it is gold. Gold necklace, if we say gold chain. The chain is the Namarupa part. The chain is the Namarupa part. Gold is the material. Like the pot and like the clay and the pot. So you can use golden ornaments, cotton and garments, clay and pot. But ultimately all boils down to what? There cannot be two realities. There is no two realities. There cannot be. There are no two reality. Then what is the world? Mithya. Then what is this world? Mithya. Because it has a respective function, you cannot call it as real. It has a respective function, like ring has a respective function, gold ring has a respective function, the gold chain has a respective function, the gold earring, the nose ring, every ornament has a respective function. Similarly, the world of objects and beings has very many respective functions, and those respective functions doesn't make it real. Why? Because the easiness belongs to the gold, not to the Nama Rupa. That is why when the nose ring can be made into the earring, The earring can be made into the nose ring. But something has to be there for the nose ring or the earring to come out. So the very fact that it has come out means something is there. So the base has to be real. That which comes out has to be temporary. Therefore, what is proven? The mithyatvam of the world is proven. When the mithyatvam is proven, Dvaitam goes wrong. For Dvaitam to go wrong, world has to be, the mithyatvam of the world has to be established. You can't say God alone is real. Advaitam says, don't say God alone is real, say God only is. Mahavakya says that. Mahavakya says God alone is. Brahman alone is. And that Brahman, since that Brahman is what alone is, everybody can claim. Everybody should claim that Brahman. It's not that one person who's claiming alone is Brahman, rest are all not Brahman. Just as the earring is also gold, the nose ring is also gold, the necklace is also gold. All ornaments should claim what? We are gold. They should not say we are part of the gold. Are you able to follow? So everybody must claim. That's where Vedanta becomes universal. Everybody must claim what? We are not part of the gold. We are gold. All ornaments must claim, I am gold. When the ornament says, I am gold, you will not blame the ornament. No. You will not want the ornament to worship gold. Because that ornament worshipping gold has no ornament worshipping gold as though it is different from it doesn't make any sense. Therefore, when Vedanta says, claim that you are Brahman, it is like telling the earring, say that I am gold. It's like telling the nose ring, say that I am gold. Your original being. This is what is called your original being. Are you able to follow? This is called your original being. So ring should say I am gold. Nose ring should say I am gold. Earring should say I am gold. Everything should say I am gold. And gold also says I am gold. So in effect, what is only there? Instead of saying I am gold, 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 in effect, there is only gold. Therefore, your original being means you claim what Ramatirtha calls it as, it's your birthright. Everybody should claim that, he says. It's your birthright to say I am Brahman, because you are that. It is because of ignorance you are saying I am. It is because of ignorance the nose ring is claiming an independent entity as though it is different from other golds. In reality is only this is what is called as your original being. With this background of this your original being, we'll study that portion. Anshu, we'll study that portion. Yeah.
Your original being. Your real being is the Supreme Self, the state of absolute peace and bliss. All through your life, you experience a constant pressure for gaining pleasure peace, and happiness. The pursuit of happiness would not cease until you reach your absolute state. This is a natural phenomenon. Every object remains restless until restored to its original state. For example, a coil spring contracted would exert pressure to return to its own length. Similarly, your desires continuously pressurize you since you have moved away from yourself, your original being. And to get yourself free from desires and gain absolute liberation, you must return to your original state, attain self-realization. A mind entertaining unfulfilled desires will always remain agitated, frustrated, stressed out. Hence, religion has personified desire as the devil obscuring the divinity in humans. Christianity has personified desires as Satan, Islam as Shaitan, Buddhism as Mara, Hinduism as Asura. A human being has to cross over the spiritual barrier, desires to reach the original state of godhood. The scriptures have pronounced the self within as that ultimate state. I am that I am, Old Testament. The kingdom of God is within you, New Testament. The greatest jihad is that for the conquest of the self, Quran. I am the self in all beings, Bhagavad Gita. Self is God, Upanishads. Your real self, your original being, is the seat of absolute peace and bliss. You have lost your divine status due to identification and involvement with your body, mind, and intellect. As a result, you are possessed with manifold desires. Your mission in life, therefore, lies in eradicating the desires and realizing your divine self.
So, your original being says a wrong identification because of the wrong identification because of desires. A wrong identification happened because of desires. A Vishuddha Buddhi. In the 18th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, he calls it as Vishuddha Buddhi. Shuddha Buddhi. Shuddha Buddhi means clear intellect. Buddhi means intellect. Shuddha Buddhi means clear intellect. The 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he calls it as Vishuddha Buddhi. Vishuddha Buddhayaha, he says. Shuddha Buddhayaha means the intellect that has clearest. V is more clear. Shuddha itself is clear. Vishuddha, the prefix V, makes it that much more clear. What is meant by clear knowledge? What is meant by clear knowledge? What you have understood about yourself is completely wrong. That is Vishuddha Buddhi. You think you are mortal, Vedanta says you are immortal. You think the world is real, Vedanta says the world is Mithya. You think God is far away, different from you, Vedanta says God is neither different nor away from you. What is the distance between you and God? Zero. That's why there is no reaching God. There's no reaching God because there has to be some distance only you can reach. No. So the question that you have to ask is, what is the distance between you and God? with regard to each and everything that we understand about ourselves, original being says it is exactly the opposite. And he's quoting all the various masters, or various scriptures are quoted. But in and through all these quotations, what is the formula is what I'm trying to explain. Whenever you use the word I, you use the I in relation to the I that cannot be associated with. I am that I am is the right way of using that. Wherever you use the word I, you associate the I with something that the I can never associate with. Okay, what do you associate the I with? The jiva, the individual. You associate the I with the jiva, the individual. We have already seen the I-ness or the isness doesn't belong to the jiva component. The I-ness, the isness belongs to the real. Pot is. Take the statement. Pot is. In that word pot is, does isness belongs to the pot? Isness doesn't belong to the pot. Isness belongs to the clay. Even though we say pot is, for all practical purposes, isness doesn't belong to the pot. Because of ignorance, we believe the isness, you identify the isness with pot, and then you say pot is. This vichara, this discrimination is called buddhi. This is what buddhi should support. This is what buddhi is supposed to do. Again, I repeat, all the time, what the buddhi is supposed to do? This discrimination is what the buddhi is supposed to do. Yes. No buddhi is doing that. That's a different story altogether. That's why he said you must have a buddhi to do that. Or if the buddhi is there, which is Vishuddha buddhi, that Vishuddha buddhi will do this. What is it? It will, when we say pot is, the isness doesn't belong to the pot. The isness belongs only to the clay. Nose ring is. The isness belongs to what? The isness doesn't belong to the ring. The isness belongs to the gold. Because of its association, because of its borrowing the isness, it appears as though it is. So, the pot is an apparent appearance, clay is. This is, so in the statement pot is, the original being is the isness, and that has no connection with the pot. பாட்டுக்கும் அதுக்கும் சம்பந்தமே கிடையாது. But அது இருக்குதே. There is a pot, no. There is a pot, and that pot has a unique. A pot has its own unique independent function. Having its own unique independent function and existence, why can't we say pot is? For which we have already seen that. You cannot say that. Why? Because the pot can get destroyed. The destruction of the pot is not the destruction of isness. The pot can get destroyed. If we say pot is, the pot should not be able to get destroyed at all. But the truth is, pot gets destroyed. How do you say pot can get destroyed? The very fact that it is created means it is, all that is created gets destroyed. It means, can existence be created and can existence be destroyed? Then we go back to the basic science principle, conservation of energy. It can neither be created nor destroyed. It can neither be created nor destroyed. Then the isness, the existence doesn't belong to the pot, but because of long association, it assumes an isness, I-ness. In the case of an object, we call it as isness. In the case of a human being, we call it as I-ness. Isness is in relation to object, sat. In relation to human being, we call it as I. What is Vishuddha Buddhi? Segregate the I from the non-I. When the segregation happens, the original being is known, experience, any word you can use for that. I am that I am. Old Testament. God spoke to Moses, and Moses asked, I have to go down and tell the people that you spoke to me. What will I tell you as? What will I tell you as? Because God spoke to Moses, and Moses has to come down and tell the people that God spoke to me. So a question that Moses asked God is, what do I tell these people down? How do I tell them that you spoke to me? How do I define you as? Old Testament. I am that I am. That is the Old Testament. The I-ness is the God. The isness in relation to the object is God. The I-ness in relation to being is God. Not what you associate the I with. You can associate the isness with pot, or you can associate the isness with clay. You can associate the isness with the ornament, or you can associate the isness with gold. What is Vishuddha Buddhi as far as the gold ring is concerned? Okay. What is the Vishuddha Buddhi for the earring? What is Vishuddha Buddhi? I am golden solno. I am golden sonada. Vishuddha Buddhi is there. Illana Ashuddha Buddhi tamo. Vishuddha Buddhi. In the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he uses this word. Vishuddha Buddhi. Beautiful word he uses. Shuddha Buddhayaha he says. Meaning what? The Shuddha Buddhi. What is Shuddha Buddhi? Claiming the original nature. Shuddha Buddhi. Shuddha Buddhi is claiming my original nature. What is the original nature? The earring should not say, I am part of gold. The earring should say, I am gold. The nose ring should say, I am gold. The bracelet should say, I am gold. If it says, I am gold Mahavakya, that is Mahavakya. If the nose ring says, I am gold, that is called Mahavakya. If it says, I am part of gold, then the question is, if you say you are part of it, what is the other thing there? If you say I am part of you, it means I have something different also. What is the difference that you have? No. The shape, the size, they are all not different. They are all nama rupa. Why? Because creation of it doesn't destroy the gold. The creation of nama rupa has no effect on the gold. The destruction of nama rupa has no effect on the gold. I am the self in all beings. Ahamatma Buddhakesha. Bhagavad Gita. In the 10th chapter, before he starts the Vibhuti Yoga. Vibhuti Yoga means he is going to say where all he is. First in one word, he will take one murti and say God is in that. Before that, no God at all. Okay, take it like that. At one stage, there is no God at all. Better than that is to take up one form and say God is at one form. And then better than that is take all the goodness from this planet and say all the good things is God. That is Vibhuti Yoga. In Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga, chapter 11, what he does, both good and bad he takes, it's me only. Good part of the dream is also me. The bad part of the dream is also me. The sewage of the dream is the mind. The temple of the mind is also, the temple in the dream is also from the same mind. The sewage is also from the same mind. Before he gets into that in the 11th chapter, he beautifully starts. Ahamatma Gudakesha. Ahamatma Guda. I am the self in all beings. Aham Atma. The Atma in everything is the Aham, the I. Ishana Lord. Gudakana sleep. Madras Bhashala, Serena Gudaka Padils. Yeah, Gudakana Tungu Munjin. Gudakana Tungu Munji. Gudakesha means not the Tungu Munji fellow. Yeah, Abdullah Solomon. Sorry. Yeah, that's what he's saying. Gudakesha. Ahamatma Gudakesha. I am the self in all. I am the self in all beings. Lot of beautiful Sanskrit words. That's why Madras language is so beautiful. Because they have lot of beautiful Sanskrit words. Yeah. Pishnari. Beautiful Sanskrit word. It's not a Tamil word. It's a beautiful Sanskrit word. Therima, Shankar. You thought it's a Tamil word. No, Telugu word you thought. No. Kanja Pishnari, that's a Pishnari nale Kanjanta, isn't it? You know that? Like, okay, I'll do that. We'll have a separate class for that. After we finish with Vedanta Treatise, we'll have a Chennai Tamil class. Beautiful is that Amatma Gudakesha. I am the self in all beings. In the original being, he's saying that. Upanishads, there is no I, my object alone. Upanishads takes it to the height and say, self is God. Pot space equals total space. Upanishads. In all these various things, the New Testament says, the kingdom of God is within you. The Quran says, the conquest of the self is the jihad. All boils down to what? Only one thing. Recognizing the I, identify the I with what it should identify. Or this trying to identify the I with what it should be identifying with is called Nididhyasana. What the I should be identified with, you keep doing that all the time. This practice is Nididhyasana. That's where Mahavakya study, Mithya, Nididhyasana, all are given to the advanced student. All these practices, the Mahavakya teachings are given to the advanced student. Nididhyasana practice is given to the advanced student. Why? Because this segregation should happen. What is the segregation? The I should be identified with what it should be identified with. What the I should be identified with? I should be identified with I. This is a practice. Very difficult to do this practice. Why? Because Because of the long habit, because of long association with ignorance, the I is associated with the isness, is associated with the pot. The I is associated with the jiva. What is nididhyasana now? You don't associate isness with pot. You don't associate I-ness with jiva. This is the topic, your original being. This is the topic, your original. What blocks it? It is the desire that blocks it. Why desire is blocking? Because desire makes you to believe that you have to become happy. Desire makes you to believe you have to get something. That's why it's called a block. Able to follow? Why desire is called ignorance? Why desire is the devil? Because desire makes you to believe you have to get it. Desire means you have to get it. You have to do something to become happy. You have to do something to become peaceful. You have to do something to become God. This becoming is the block, which is what is called as desire. Are you able to follow? So desire is no problem. What is the problem of desire? Not in the way that we discuss in other contexts. In other contexts, we talk about desire as Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, Bhaya, the frequency, the intensity, the recovery, the pain, the suffering, the stress and strain. Adallam we talk about it. All looks very attractive. But in Mahavakya, we say, adallam kindergarten stuff. We don't talk all that. We don't talk about all this at this level. So what are we talking about here? Desire is the devil. How desire obscures? Because desire makes you to believe you have to get it. You have to become it. You don't become free. You recognize free you are already. That's why we say, who's the other person to give you freedom? Nobody can grant you freedom. Why? Because who can take it away from you in the first place for them to grant it? Out of your own imagination, you believe that you are not free. Out of your own ignorance, you believe that you are not free. But freedom is the intrinsic nature. So what is your original being? Freedom. Desire says, become free. Knowledge says, you are already free. Desire is in becoming. Desire is always about action, doing, achieving. Again, I repeat. Desire is always in relation to action, doing, achieving. Reality, Brahman, God has got nothing to do with desiring, doing, achieving. Because Tattvamasi Shvetaketu, you are that already. So what are you trying to desire that for? That is why desire has 3 words. Desire has 3 words. Even though in English we call it as desire, in effect it is 3 distinct functions. One is called kama, the second is called raga, the third is called dvesha. Desire, 3 distinct entities, 3 distinct functions combined. Loosely we call it as desire. Kama means a craving for that which you don't have. Raga means an attachment to that which you have already. Dvesha means you have a list of things that you don't want at all. In the moon is saying that's called desire. This is the devil. Kama, Raga, Dvesha. Kama means craving for that which you don't have. That's called craving. Raga means attachment to what you have already. That's Raga. Duryodhana had Kama for Pandava's wealth and Dvesha over Pandavas. So in that desire, what does he have? What was he having? He had a Kama for the wealth of the Pandavas. Okay, wealth of the Pandavas mela Kama, towards Pandavas, Dvesha. It means what we call as desire is nothing but these three distinct functions: Kama, Raga, Dvesha. So whenever they say desire obscure, these three things are the obscuring factors. These three are the obscuring factors. Why? Because out of ignorance, you believe that you don't have something and you have to get it. What is your original nature? Purnatvam being your true nature. From where did Kama come from? Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadhaya, Purnameva Vasishyate is what your original nature is. Where did Kama come from? It's imaginary. It's imaginary. Raga is also imaginary. Again, Raga is also imaginary. Why Raga is also imaginary? That which has come in between will stay with you temporarily, and it will go. See, this very body itself is going to go at some point of time. This very life itself is going to go at some point of time. Now, all that is associated with this also is going to. So therefore, Raga is meaningless. Kama is meaningless. Raga is meaningless. Dvesha is also meaningless. Why? Hatred towards a thing which is inevitable anyway. Okay, what are we all have a list of the things that we don't want at all, no? What are the things that we don't want at all? Venkatachalam. Low BP, we don't want at all. Correct? Now, currently, he's having that problem. Low BP, vana. At any point of time, low BP should not come. Old age should not come. Loss should not come. Dishonor should not come. We all have a list of things that we all have that list. And each and everything in that list is absurd. Abdinna, Kama is absurd. Raga is absurd. Dvesha is absurd. But these absurd things obscure the vision. In that sense, desire is the devil.
It is also
Imaginary. Imaginary. Because desire is symbolic of all the three. If in the moon imaginary, devil by default becomes imaginary. So whenever they say desire is the devil that stands in between you and the truth, you should understand desire means Kama, Raga, Dvesha. Loosely, all the three combined, we call it as Kama sometimes. All the three, in Sanskrit language, we call it as Kama, or sometimes we call it as Raga, Dvesha. But what we have to understand is three distinct things. Craving for what you don't have, possessiveness over what you have, certain things, dvesha, intense hatred. It should not come at all. So, if you take these three factors and look at what a human being does from birth to death, the moon you take these three and look at what a human being does from birth to death, preoccupied with all these three only. Constantly preoccupied with all these three, and this preoccupation takes you away from your original being. Prasad, are you okay? That's how it is. That's how it works. Always the human being is occupied with these three only. Either he's wanting something, or he's trying to protect what he has, or he's trying to avoid. Correct? All the intelligence is for what? Career science, technology, car, bus, ella for what? Either you are trying to get something new, or trying to protect something, or trying to avoid something. In the moon preoccupation, what does the human being forgotten? The original being is forgotten. The nose ring started saying, I am a nose ring. Instead of saying I am golden solliyachina, prachine kedayadu. So your original being is nothing but to say I am Brahman. That's what is meant. Aham Brahmasmi, your original being. Chariya. With this, we conclude for today. Huh? There are two questions. There are two questions that is posted. Okay. Venkatachalam. In the clay and pot example, pot is mere nama rupa, which is mithya. Is the functional value also mithya? Yes. The functional value is also mithya because the moment you have carried water from place to place, pot has no value after that. Value mudinjiruchina adu dirt maariduradhu. The pot becomes a dirt. Value mudinjiruthina bharya bibyati tasmin kaye bhajagovindam. Functional utility mudinjiruthina, what you do? Keep avladhaan poine irukum. So it is so. Is the functional value is also mithya? Yes. The very fact it has a functional value is the proof that it is
mithya.
It is mithya. Correct.
I have one more question to ask.
Yes.
We have two popular metaphors. We talk about clay and pot, and we also have rope and snake. The clay and pot gives a mithyatvam,
Yes.
a temporary or borrowed existence. Doesn't outright say it is an illusion.
Correct.
It has a limited period, temporary. Whereas
Yes.
in the example of snake and rope,
Yes.
there's totally an illusion.
Correct.
There's not even a limited period purpose or reality, limited
Correct.
reality.
Correct.
Not even borrowed existence.
Correct.
Are there two different views, or are we talking from two different levels of reality? Paramarthika reality to Vivaharika reality.
Yes. Venkatacharya, it is two levels of reality. That's all. It is two levels of reality. In the true sense, even when you see the snake, there is no snake.
There's no snake.
Even when you are experiencing the snake, there is no snake, is what the reality is. So it's called Adhyaropa Apavada. It's called Adhyaropa Apavada. First, you accept the temporary existence and then you dismiss it. First, you accept the temporary existence, like pot, the clay and pot. And then you dismiss it as non-existent.
Illusion.
Yes. So this is called. These are the two ways of Vedantic study itself. First,
no superimposition.
Sorry.
There is no superimposition.
Yes. Yes.
The first stage superimposition.
Yes.
Just get a separate.
Yes.
From false.
At one level, we accept a superimposition. At another level, we say there is no such thing called superimposition itself. A very, in three different places, this is introduced beautifully. One is in the Nasato vidyate bhavaha na bhavo vidyate sataha vayorapi drishtontaha tvanayoho tattva darshibihi. Verse number 16, chapter 2. There, we talk about this existence first and then we dismiss it. Beautiful elaboration he has done. Second is when the introduction to Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is so big, and the introduction is bigger than the introduction is much bigger. There it is taken how the existence is proven first, and then what is proven is disproven later.
Okay.
First it is proven, and what is proven, the same person in the same book disproves it. So it means, answering your question, it is at two levels of reality. Is it okay? Yeah. Anbanandan, why it is always said non-two instead of simply saying one? Any description of Brahman in the assertive way is not what it is. When we say non-two, it's an indicator. When you say one, you are directly saying Brahman is one. And you cannot say anything about Brahman in affirmative. You can always, you should only indicate it. You should never say it in affirmative. Therefore, we say it as non-two. Even though we call it as ekam in some context, generally we don't use the word ekam at all. We always use it as advayam. Advayam means non-two. Why can't you simply say it as one? One gives some indication. Non-two means some vagueness is still there. For all definitions of God, a vagueness has to be left behind. For in that vagueness lies material for manana nididhyasana. If you say one, it goes into memory and that's it. What is God? One. PhD is done in God and degree is also God. What is God? One. Nothing will happen. So any definition of God has to be vague in nature. Why it has to be vague in nature? Because that vagueness is the scope for manana nididhyasana. Therefore, they will never say one. They will call it as non-two only. With this, we conclude the session for today. We continue with waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, and you. You are different. Waker, dreamer, deep sleeper is different. That is the next topic.